My family tried to cut me out, so I shut down everything they depended on. By 8 in the morning, I had 52 missed calls. Their lawyers said, "We need to talk." I couldn't help but smile. My name is Emily Walker. I'm 32 years old, and my job is basically to predict the absolute worst-case scenarios for a fintech startup in Denver. But let me tell you, nothing in my entire career prepared me for the gut punch of a 12-second voicemail that completely detonated my family. It landed on a Wednesday afternoon, sandwiched right between a risk report and a lukewarm cup of coffee. I pressed play, and there it was, my mother's voice, flat and businesslike, like she was canceling a subscription, not her own daughter. "You are out. Don't come back. We are going on without you." No explanation. No emotion. Just a verdict. For a few beats, I just stared at my phone, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then, the cold, calculating part of my brain, the part that spends all day locking down other people's money, quietly kicked in. I didn't call back. I didn't argue. I typed a simple text. "Okay." Then, I went to work. First, I accessed the family LLC that I had built from the ground up, the one that held our rental properties and the new triplex we were literally about to close on. I locked down every single privilege with my name attached to it. No more agreements using my credit. No more transfers without my explicit consent. Next, I called the real estate agent and backed out of the house transaction they were so utterly banking on. House deal, gone. Finally, I froze the retirement account structure I'd set up for them, ensuring nothing could be modified or emptied without my knowledge. By the time my coffee was finished, so was whatever easy ride they thought they had through me. I thought that was the end of it. Instead, by the next morning, my phone had 52 missed calls and a message from their lawyers saying, "We have a serious problem." I just smiled as I composed my response. Because they had no idea. The problem wasn't that I was gone. It was what I took with me. Stick with me to the end to witness how one icy voicemail spiraled into a family vendetta where the person they tried to cut out ended up holding every single card. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing relentlessly on the edge of the nightstand. For a second, I thought it was my alarm. Then I saw the screen, 52 missed calls. Mom, Dad, and a bunch of unknown numbers, including one from a law firm I recognized. The most recent was a voicemail from their lawyer. I plugged in my earbuds and hit play as the coffee machine started to gurgle. "This is Benjamin Davis, attorney for James and Catherine Harris. Emily, we need to talk. This is serious. Please call me back as soon as possible." His voice was tight, the way lawyers get when they realize their clients have left out crucial information. I ended the message and stared at the wall for a bit, listening to the coffee drip. My phone kept lighting up as more texts from Mom rolled in. "Emily, this is just a misunderstanding. Call me. We need to talk." From Dad, "Kiddo, whatever happened, we can fix it. Please call us back." Another from Mom, "We didn't mean it like that. We were upset. Come home so we can explain." Funny, I thought, because her voice had been perfectly clear yesterday. "You are out. Don't come back. We are going on without you." That sounded pretty unambiguous to me. I scrolled through, almost expecting to find Sophie's name somewhere in the flood of notifications. Nothing. Not a single text, not a single missed call from my younger sister, who used to blow up our family group chat about the most trivial things. She was remarkably quiet for someone who loved attention. While the coffee brewed, I pulled up the building security app on my phone and checked the video feed for our front entrance. The screen showed footage from earlier that morning. My father stood at the glass entrance of my apartment building, hands deep in his jacket pockets, looking up at the second floor where my unit was. He checked his phone, paused as if to buzz, then simply turned and walked away. No call, no knock, just a retreat. My chest clenched for a half second before I forced the sensation down. When someone shows you how easily they can cut you off, don't rush to comfort them when they feel the knife swing back their way. On my way to work, my phone kept buzzing in my bag. I let it. At my desk, I eventually sent out 3 brief responses. To Mom, "I'm fine. I need time." To Dad, I heard the voicemail. "I'm not ready to talk." To the lawyer, "I've got your message. I'll respond in writing." That was all I owed anyone. Jenna, my coworker, slid her chair over to my desk just before lunch, lowering her voice. "You've been staring at that screen like you're going to set it on fire," she said. "Everything okay at home?" I almost said, yes, out of habit, but I stopped myself. Not really. My parents decided I'm no longer part of the family business. Her eyebrows shot up. Are they aware that you are the family business? I shrugged. They left a voicemail. I shut things down. Now their lawyer is involved. Jenna let out a slow whistle. Look, I'm not telling you what to do, but you know how it is. The second money is involved, everyone starts performing. If you make moves out of guilt, they'll read that as you admitting fault. Make sure every decision you make is something you'd be comfortable explaining to a judge someday. I nodded. I understood that part better than anyone. My job was risk management. I had spent years building systems that prevented people from quietly moving money behind each other's backs. And now, I realized I'd built the perfect system to stop my own family from doing the same thing to me. As I walked to the break room to refill my coffee, my phone buzzed again. A new message from an unknown number. Heard you pulled out of the triplex because you were overwhelmed? You okay? It was a cousin from my father's side. Overwhelmed. That was definitely not my word. It sounded like something Sophie might say while blinking back fake tears. In my mind, the pieces started to click into place. The timing of her recent job loss in marketing. She'd started using phrases like streamline the LLC and free up equity at Sunday dinners, as if she'd ever cared about spreadsheets. She was the only one who was silent now, like a puppeteer who had already pulled the strings and was waiting off stage to see what would happen. I stared at my phone and felt the first clean edge of anger, sharp and cold, slide into place. If Sophie was behind this, if she thought she could push me out of what I'd built and step into my shoes while our parents just watched, she'd picked the wrong sister to fight over money. 2 days later, I was trying to pretend life was normal by doing something painfully ordinary. Visiting the local coffee shop I always hit on Saturdays, the kind of place where the barista remembers your order and the regulars discuss inflation and home prices. I'd barely picked up my coffee when I heard someone call my name. Emily. Hey. I turned and saw Daniel Reed, one of my father's old friends from the garage where he used to work. He clapped me on the shoulder as if nothing was amiss. Heard about the triplex? He asked, lowering his voice conspiratorially. Tough stuff. I grimaced. What about it? Just what your mom and Sophie were saying in the family group chat, he said. That you pulled out because work pressure got to you? That you were overwhelmed and it wasn't a good time for you mentally? He said mentally, as if he was afraid to say breakdown. My jaw tightened. Overwhelmed. There it was again. I faked a grin so tight it felt like it might shatter. Yeah, well, you know how rumors travel, I said. Daniel patted my arm, urged me to take care of myself, and went to the sugar station. I walked out of the coffee shop before my face betrayed how I really felt. Outside, in the cool Denver air, I pulled out my phone and scrolled back through my texts. Sophie hadn't called or texted me, but she felt safe informing my extended family that I was too unstable to manage a house sale I had almost arranged. That wasn't just a rumor. That was groundwork. Sitting in my car, I opened my contacts and selected a name I hadn't used in months. Matthew Adams, the financial advisor who'd helped me set up the initial structure for our family LLC before my parents, influenced by Sophie, moved to someone newer and flashier. Matthew picked up on the second ring. This is a surprise, Emily, he remarked. Still keeping everyone out of trouble? Working on it, I replied. I have a question. Has anyone tried to change ownership percentages in Mitchell Holdings LLC recently? There was a gap, during which I could hear him sitting up straighter. I've seen some draft documents float by, he explained hesitantly. Your mom mentioned a new advisor, asked a few hypotheticals, but I saw references to adding another family member as a managing member, and your signature line was blank. It looked messy, so I told her, nothing could move without you. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. Sophie is the other family member, of course. Did any of it go through? I asked. No, he said. The paperwork was incomplete and, frankly, questionable. But Emily, if someone is trying to backdoor their way into control of your LLC, you need to get ahead of it. I thanked him, hung up, and stared at the dashboard for a long time. I remembered the voicemail telling me I was out. I remembered Daniel using the phrase, overwhelmed, and how my mother suddenly wanted a new advisor once Sophie quit her job. This wasn't happening randomly. This was a strategy, poorly executed legally, and with a heavy dose of emotional manipulation on top. Sophie sent me a fresh text as I sat there. Emily, what are you doing? Pulling out of the house deal? Worrying everyone out? Shutting down accounts? This is a mess, and you're making it worse. For a moment, my fingers hovered over the keyboard. I almost unleashed everything that was bubbling in my brain. Instead, I deleted the draft response and opened my inbox. First, I notified the real estate agent. Per our conversation, please consider this written confirmation that I have formally withdrawn from the Mitchell Triplex acquisition as a borrower and principal qualifier. Any further representations that I am involved in this transaction are false and illegal. Then, I requested an official cancellation notice be delivered to my parents, copying their lawyer. Then I started a new message. This time it was addressed to Sophie, but worded in the same way I would send any other risk escalation at work. Sophie, this email serves as formal notice that any attempt to change ownership, signature authority, or financial structure of Mitchell Holdings LLC, any affiliated properties, or retirement funds without my express written authorization is illegal and may constitute fraud. Do not sign my name. Do not assume my approval. Any such action will be documented and reported to legal counsel. No screaming, no name-calling. Just facts and consequences. I sent it, and then placed my phone face down on the passenger seat. By the time I arrived home, my call log had 7 more attempts from Mom, 3 from Dad, and none from Sophie. At my place, I opened my laptop and created a new folder called Family Risk File. I uploaded screenshots of messages, the lawyer's voicemail, Matthew's notes, and the email I had just written. Every gesture, every lie, every attempt to portray me as unstable was going in there. Because if Sophie was building a narrative where I was the problem, the weak link to be torn out so she could slide in, I was going to build a better one backed by timestamps and documentation. And I couldn't help but wonder, as I watched the files pile up on my laptop, how many families end up like this because one person values the truth less than the victim character they've been playing their whole lives. 4 days later, an unknown number popped up on my screen in the middle of a spreadsheet. I almost let it go to voicemail until I recognized the firm's name. This is Emily. Hi, Emily. This is Jason Liu, your parents' new financial advisor, he said. I just need to go over some discrepancies in the Mitchell retirement structure. That word made me sit up straight. He explained he'd been reviewing the LLC and retirement accounts and found draft paperwork adding Sophie as a co-trustee or managing member, with my name listed as an approver, but no actual signature from me. To be clear, Jason, I have not approved anything, I told him. I haven't signed a thing since the day I set it up. Jason sighed. I think your family is operating under the assumption you walked away and that these adjustments are what you desire. The word overwhelmed came up, and I wanted your confirmation for compliance. Treat every request as unapproved until you see my live signature, I instructed him. If anyone claims otherwise, ask for written proof. You won't get any. My cousin Megan called after we'd hung up. Are you okay? She blurted out. Because the way Sophie has been talking, it sounds like you're falling apart. What is Sophie saying? I asked. That you pulled out of the triplex because of anxiety? That you're hoarding control of the LLC? That you threatened to cut Mom and Dad off financially? Megan added. Now she's posting about abuse of power and toxic families. None of that is true, I said. Megan lowered her voice. I didn't think so. It doesn't sound like the Emily who paid for their roof. I just wanted you to know what was being said. Thanks, I said. Screenshot if you feel like it. Otherwise, don't feed her audience. We hung up. A second later, an email thread appeared in my inbox. Subject, Mitchell Triplex Purchase Update. It was from our agent, Susan, with my parents, Sophie, and Matthew, the lawyer, on copy. Sophie's quote, nested beneath her reply, read, Susan, as we discussed, Emily has withdrawn due to personal mental health difficulties. We need to move forward without her. Please respect her limitations. Sophie had written it, sounding so compassionate that my skin crawled. Susan's reply was succinct. Thank you, Sophie. For liability purposes, I'll need written confirmation directly from Emily, and we'll pause the file for now. I started typing before the rage subsided. Hi Susan, I wrote. Attached are my written withdrawal from 2 days ago and the pre-approval documents. I am not withdrawing due to mental health issues. I am withdrawing because I no longer wish for my name, credit, or income to be used in the current family situation. Any other depiction of my choice is inaccurate. Thank you for pausing the file. Emily. I copied Benjamin and Matthew and included every piece of documentation proving I had been the driver from the beginning. Susan's blunt reply went out swiftly to the small group. Understood. I will disregard Sophie's previous message and follow only your instructions. Matthew sent a simple email. Received. We should discuss next steps. That night, I found an envelope with my mother's handwriting tucked to my apartment door. Inside, on lined paper, she had written, "We love you." We were emotional. Please call us so we can fix this before it goes too far. Love, Mom. My chest clenched for a moment. I imagined her at the kitchen table, crafting the narrative while Sophie paced and cried. My phone vibrated again. Megan had emailed a screenshot of Sophie's latest post. Sometimes the most dangerous person in a family is the one who has all the control over the money and punishes you for not falling in line. Healing means walking away from people who weaponize their power, even if they share your last name. The comments were full of hearts, and you go, girl. I placed my mother's note next to my laptop and opened the family risk file folder. Emails, voicemails, advisor notes, and screenshots were neatly organized in rows. Up until now, I'd just been closing doors. As the data piled up, I knew that protection wasn't enough. If Sophie wanted to create a narrative where I was the villain, I was going to respond with something she couldn't spin. A clear, documented story that left her standing alone in the light. The next morning, at work, my phone vibrated with a fresh text from my mother. No argument, just 10 minutes. Please. I stared at it. 10 minutes wouldn't erase a message telling me not to come back, but it sounded more like her than anything she'd sent in weeks. Call me, I wrote. She responded quickly, and I heard the faint speaker echo. Your dad is here too, she continued. Hey kiddo, James added. You wanted 10 minutes, I said. Mom exhaled. We messed up, Emily. Saying you're out. Don't come back. That was extreme. We shouldn't have said it like that. You didn't, I told her. You said exactly that. She paused, then tried again. Your sister told us things. She said that you were planning to cut us out of the LLC, talking to lawyers about removing us from retirement accounts, saying you were tired of carrying us and wanted full control. She said you told her after dinner, in the car. None of that ever happened, I replied. Did you hear those words directly from me? Well, no, Mom admitted. Sophie said you talked in the car on the way home. I took my own car that night, I said. I left alone. There was no car ride. Dad cursed softly. Why would she make that up? Mom muttered. But it seemed like she already knew the answer. Maybe because she wanted what I have, I said. If I'm unstable and power-hungry, then sliding herself into documents looks like protecting you, not using you. Dad exhaled. This is beyond family drama now. Matthew called. Jason called. Susan paused the house deal. I know, I said. That's why I'm done with whispers. We're going to sit down, all four of us, in the same room. No speakerphone, no vague posts. I'll bring documents. You bring everything Sophie told you. Then we see what survives. Do we have to involve lawyers? Mom inquired. They're already involved, I explained. The question is whether they see Sophie's story first or the evidence. When? Dad asked. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. At the house, I said. If Sophie won't come, that's an answer too. The next evening, I walked into my folks' living room with a heavy folder under my arm. Same beige couch, same framed school photos, entirely different atmosphere. My parents sat together on the sofa. Sophie sat in an armchair with a tissue, like a prop. She wouldn't look at me. Thanks for coming, Dad remarked. I placed the folder and my phone on the coffee table. Just so we're clear, I stated, nothing about this is off the record in my head. If anyone lies, I won't keep it here. Sophie sneered. Wow, way to make this hostile. We're family. Then the truth shouldn't scare anyone, I said. My mother twisted her hands. Sophie, honey, tell Emily what you told us. No, I said. Sophie can speak for herself. Go ahead. Sophie rolled her eyes. I just repeated what you said, she snapped. That you were done carrying everything. That you were thinking of pulling your name off things. That you wanted full control of the LLC so you didn't have to consult them. And this was in the car after dinner, right? I asked. She nodded. Yeah, you were upset. You probably don't even remember. I opened the folder, retrieved a printed statement, and passed it across. That night at Harbor Grill, right? Check the timestamps. Mom's gaze shifted down the page. Sophie's rideshare receipt showed her arriving at their house around 10:25 p.m. My gas station charge across town was 10:23 p.m. Different routes, different cars. I drove myself, I informed them. You took a car alone. There was no car conversation. Maybe it was another night. Sophie responded hurriedly. Before you say that, here's the only other time we all had dinner in the last 4 months, I added, flicking to another page. That night you left early to meet friends. I stayed to pay. No private ride then either. Dad leaned back gently. Sophie, he said softly. She shrugged. Memory is weird. Okay, I was trying to help. I thought she was serious about needing a break. Next, I showed them Susan's email. My withdrawal was issued before Sophie's mental health update. Then Susan's response, stating she'd disregard anything that didn't come directly from me. Then Jason's message concerning draft paperwork with my name, but unsigned. Next, screenshots of Sophie's posts and Megan's replies. One by one, the pages built a path from my voicemail to this couch. Mom eventually turned to Sophie. You told us you saw emails, she said quietly. You told us Emily said she was done with us. Sophie sat up taller. So now you just believe her because she printed things? She said. She said she's always liked control. She's twisting everything to make me look crazy. Dad fixed his gaze on her. The truth doesn't fall apart when you hold it next to a gas receipt, he said. Yours did. That's the difference. Sophie visibly deflated for the first time since she'd walked in. Her gaze darted to me, looking for the older version of me who would offer a lifeline. I didn't. James drew a breath. Here's what we're going to do, he continued, adopting the firm tone he used to maintain at the business. Emily, you and Benjamin and Matthew figure out whatever it takes to make the LLC and the retirement accounts bulletproof. You and I remain the only managing members. Your mom is a beneficiary. Sophie is not in any position of control anywhere. If we help her, it will be from our own pockets, not by opening back doors into what you built. Sophie sat forward. You can't just erase me like that, she said. I'm your daughter, too. My mother winced. We are not erasing you, she explained. We're stopping pretending money we don't have is going to fall from the sky because we put your name on something Emily made. If we ever help you, it will be because you have a real plan and we can actually afford it, not because we feel guilty. Sophie changed tactics so quickly it made my head spin. Fine, she responded, tearing up. Then let me prove it, Emily. Give me a small role in the LLC. Let me do social media or something. Let me show you I can contribute instead of just taking. It was almost astonishing how she transitioned from fury to appealing to the perspective that made her appear most reasonable. A year ago, I might have fallen for it. Now I saw another variant of the same pattern. I rose and picked up my folder. No, I said with a smile. If you want to prove you can build something, you don't do it by wiring yourself into what someone else has already built. You do it by starting with nothing, like I did. My mother stared between us. Emily, isn't that a little harsh? She inquired quietly. I shook my head. Harsh was being told I was out and should not come back. I told them. Harsh was having my stability used as a prop to get sympathy online. This is just boundaries, Mom. There's a difference. Sophie scowled at me and snarled. You are going to regret this. You think you can cut me off and walk away clean. I grabbed my phone and placed it inside my backpack. No, I said. I think I can protect what I have earned and stop you from turning my work into your safety net. Whatever happens to you after that is not on me. On my way out, my father walked me to the door. I am sorry, he murmured gently. For the voicemail, for not asking you first, for letting it get this far. I believed what was easiest to hear. I nodded, feeling a complex combination of relief and melancholy pour over me. I know, I replied. But believing the easy story doesn't mean the consequences are easy, too. Over the next week, the adjustments were tangible. Jason handed along amended versions with simply mine and James' names in the control positions. Benjamin planned a meeting where my parents signed agreements restricting who could access their accounts. I amended the LLC operating agreement to specifically state that no new managing member could be joined without the unanimous written permission of current members. There was no line where Sophie's name might be written afterward. When the final signature dried, I felt something settle into place. Revenge is not a spectacular event, but rather a framework, a system in which the individual who attempted to force me out no longer had any access. Sophie arrived at my workplace unexpectedly a few days later, eyes wide and crimson, asking the receptionist for me. She was clutching a binder, the kind you'd use to present a project. I met her in the lobby, arms crossed. I have a business plan, she started, thrusting the binder at me. Events, brand partnerships, Influencer collaborations. If you just invest a little, I can pay you back and prove everyone wrong. I didn't take the binder. Start it without me. I said, if it works, you won't need my money. If it doesn't, you'll know why. No. Her face crumpled as fury and terror competed for space. You are really not going to help me, she said quietly. Not after everything. I remembered Matthew's warning, Jason's caution, Megan's screenshots, my mother's message, my father's silent apologies, and the voicemail that started everything. I'm done helping people set themselves on fire with my gasoline, I told her. Then I turned and walked back through the locked door to my floor, leaving her, her binder, and everything else on the other side. 2 months later, I stood in the driveway of a pale brick triplex on the outskirts of Denver, carrying a box of kitchen supplies and watching my parents quarrel good-naturedly over where to place a bird feeder. The bottom unit was now theirs, formally documented with a clause stating that they could live there for the rest of their life without anybody touching it. My flat was on the second level with large windows that let in plenty of light. The third unit was already available for rental. The figures were penciled in a spreadsheet that I had complete control over. Sophie had attempted to sneak into Mitchell Holdings LLC, which was now leaner and cleaner. My father and I are the only management members. My mother is the beneficiary, and there are more precautions than any family turmoil could shake free. There are no side doors, leaving no space for artistic adaptation. On weekend evenings, I'd come down to cook with my mother in her new kitchen while my father watched a car show in the living room. We didn't go over every detail again, but we stopped acting as if money was this mystical fog that no one understood. I'd open the accounts on my laptop and guide them through what was actual rather than what they wished was genuine. It wasn't flawless. When Sophie's name came up, their eyes were still filled with sadness and remorse. But suddenly, when she texted to beg for assistance with another credit card, my mother would show me the message, then set her phone face down and remark, "We can't fix this for her." Not this way. According to cousins, Sophie ended up in a modest apartment across town, hopping between gigs. Her grandiose event plans never fully took off. People began to realize that her stories always had a villain and a spotlight. For once, I wasn't in either position. I didn't sue her. I didn't attempt to damage her online. I did something quieter, and to me, crisper. I took away her perceived power and allowed her to have a life independent of my profession. I wasn't furious any longer. I was clear. It's clear that trust without limits is an invitation for the wrong person to walk in and disrupt everything. It is clear that being the strong one in a family does not imply that you should allow others to use your power against you. If there is one takeaway from all of this, it is that you may love your family but refuse to be their insurance policy when they gamble with the truth. You may forgive without returning the keys. And if somebody tells you you're out, don't come back. You're permitted to believe them. Step back and ask yourself a more difficult question. What should I cease allowing them access to from this point forward? Perhaps you have your own interpretation of the story. A period when someone treated your loyalty like a credit card with no limits. If you do, I hope you realize sooner than I did that saying no is not retaliation. It is self-respect. Sometimes, something is more important to safeguard than the house itself.